native of Kirkland Lake, Ontario. In the past, I've been involved with the Adams Mine project, which was a plan to bring Toronto's garbage north and put it in the mine pits south of Kirkland Lake. I find there's a similarity between that proposal and this, except this proposal is worse. And my own background is, I have a varied background. I've done a lot of things, but part of that background includes I've worked in 3 different mines, and so I'm somewhat familiar with problems of putting waste in geology. Yeah, what they're proposing to do with this deep geological repository, we call an underground nuclear dump, is to put the 5.5 million bundles in the headwaters of not one, but 2 river systems. These are the Turtle River and English Wabagoon River systems. This is upstream from we're already quite familiar with the Minnemetas and the mercury pollution in the Wabagoon River system, and then the Turtle River system. And the people in Fort Francis, Kenora, Dryden, all the communities here live along those river systems. Indeed, the city of Winnipeg draws its water from Shoal Lake, which is part of those river systems. So the potential for contamination is huge. The big problem is the people don't really have a say in this. It's being carried out by people from the nuclear industry, and it's being done while there is consultation. There's an awful lot of money coming into the ground first before there's any kind of an environmental assessment or really a true discussion of the problems with putting 5.5 million bundles of nuclear waste underground in a cavern. That's just to give you an idea of the size of this. It's 3 kilometers by 2 kilometers square, and the 5.5 million bundles of spent nuclear fuel, and it's not really spent. It'll stay hot for hundreds of thousands, even millions of years, and pose a contamination problem. And that problem is going to be underground, and future generations are going to have to live with it. And the depth that it's being buried at is from 500 to 1,000 meters below the ground. Yeah, this area has been proposed as a protected area. There's a write-up on it in Ontario Nature. If there was contamination or any leakage from an underground radioactive site, then the waters of all these systems, which includes major communities like Wabagoon is downstream. It's already been affected by mercury from reed pulp and paper in the past, when they used to use mercury in their pulp and paper process. And the people there are suffering from Minnemata disease. The people of Dryden are downstream. If you go the other way, you've got Fort Francis, you've got Kenora. And if you go over far enough towards the border of Shoal Lake is the water supply for the city of Winnipeg. So the potential to knock out a water system. If you're looking in terms of water, how much water there is, if you take Lake Ontario, for example, and you take the water in the Treaty 3 area, which is defined by that water system, the surface area of the water there is greater than the water of Lake Ontario. Secondly, if it's a protected area, then why, instead of protection, are we getting withdrawals? What is a withdrawal? When a mine starts, before it starts an operation, the government is allowed to, I don't know how they're allowed to do it, but they're allowed to make withdrawals. In other words, they don't want other people making claims or starting activity in the area. In this case, somewhere and someone, we don't know how, made a request from the nuclear industry to have not one area withdrawn, but 18 areas in northern Ontario. And these areas go right from Blind River, they go north to Schreiber, they go inland to Horn-Payne, they come over right to Ignis. Around Ignis, there's 4 withdrawal areas alone there. The size of these withdrawals are immense. They're about 3/5 the area of Prince Edward Island. Or if you take Lake Winnipeg or Lake Nipigon, for example, is about the same surface area as Prince Edward Island. So imagine 3/5 of that area being withdrawn for the nuclear industry, for the purpose of siting nuclear waste. So we got to ask, if so many withdrawals out there, they haven't been rescinded as far as we know, then why have this many withdrawals been made? It's not simply for our own waste, but we think it's for the long-term importation of waste from around the world. I just wanted to say a word about respect. In Kirkland Lake, I used to see the miners coming. We had the advantage. We had an environmental assessment process before a lot of people came in and dumped a lot of money around the community to buy everybody off. The advantage of having the environmental assessment process was a lot of the miners could attend. I listened to the geologists, I listened to the hydrogeologists, I listened to the seismologists, all coming up with very technical explanation telling us why it was safe to put garbage underground in a pit. And I came to the conclusion when I listened to this, and the miners were listening, is that the people who were making the presentations, that is the experts, the PhDs, and the people with the studies, really didn't have any respect for the miners. The miners had often spent 10, 20, 30 years working underground. They listen to rock very carefully. They know when the water moves through rock. They know when rock moves. They're listening. Rock bumps. The seismologist, I remember, was telling us this was perfectly secure ground. It's never going to move. And then one of them came up and he actually had a newspaper clipping from 1937 showing that there had been an earthquake in the area and major movements. Of course, we lived in the town, and the town was constantly bumping. Things were shifting all the time. I'm sure we're going to hear the same thing, and we're going to see the same computer models. We have a nuclear industry where people come. Incidentally, when they come to come to their presentations, they wear white hats, they wear white coats, and they're highly paid. If you look on the Sunshine List, Lise Morton, the head of the present Nuclear Waste Management Organization, her last yearly salary was $350,000 a year. So she's going to be speaking to ordinary people. She's going to be speaking to Native people. Fundamentally, what I think of from these people is there's not only a distance culturally, but there's really a profound lack of respect for the people on the ground and their experience. Yeah, there's presently underway a nuclear radiation review, and it's a review of the nuclear waste. It's being conducted by Natural Resources Canada. The problem with Natural Resources Canada is that it's primarily a federal department of government that's responsible for promoting the nuclear industry. And the big conflict is that how do you protect the nuclear waste, which is a product of the nuclear industry, from the environment and from contaminating people? So this is really left out of the equation. They're really there to promote. However, they're in charge of conducting waste. They've been meeting with about 100 groups across the country. Recently, they published their findings, and lo and behold, practically nothing that the groups were presenting on the ground. These are environmental groups. These are concerned groups. These are people who are really watching this industry closely and have a lot of knowledge. None of their recommendations made it on to the agenda of the Nuclear Natural Resources Canada. So what we're proposing is that there be a division, that Environment Canada take over the responsibility for the human protection and for the protection of the environment against the waste, and for planning a strategy of what do we do with the waste. In other words, we need independence there, we need transparency, and we need accountability. Nobody is accounting for the billions and billions of dollars that are being spent running waste around the country. We're taking waste from Manitoba, which is Pinawa. It's the Whiteshell Laboratories. We're sending it to Chalk River. We're bringing stuff up from Port Hope. We're bringing it from the existing plants, and it's only going to be sent back out again. They don't know. They're not sure what they're going to do. They'd like to stick all the waste near Ignis underground, but until we really know what we're going to do, why are we transporting this stuff all around the country? Why are we threatening our water supplies? Why are we threatening the human population? And why isn't the federal government and this issue not being debated in Parliament? What we would like to do is that anybody that's going and listening to the all candidates meeting is to ask the candidates what are their views on the deposit of nuclear waste underground west of Ignis, and whether nuclear waste should be transported through our communities, and ask them that very clearly. Ask them to say, do you support the transport of waste through our communities? Do you support the underground burial? And get a very definite yes or no answer from the candidates in the elections coming up. And then our big problem is getting this word out to younger people. The younger people are online, they're on social media, and unfortunately, we're not skilled at that. That is, we're good at writing letters to the editor. We're getting good at getting into the traditional media, but it's really getting this word out to younger people. It's your sons, your daughters, and getting them to take an interest in this, because we're going to be gone. This waste is going to last out there for hundreds of thousands and millions of years. So it's really getting out to a younger generation that in turn can communicate with the succeeding generations. The natives use 7 generations, and that's probably a good place to start.